Welcome back. NFTs have taken the world by storm over the past year, transforming the way we think about digital ownership and the value of art, music, and other digital assets. With the rapid growth of NFTs in Indonesia, there has been an increasing need for experts to guide both creators and collectors through the complex landscape of NFTs. Metro Globe Network's Audrey Widodo spoke with NFT consultant and collector Evan Tan, who has been actively involved in the Indonesian NFT community. Let's take a look.
Thank you for joining us today. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, can you explain a little bit about the basics of NFTs in Indonesia? How do they work and how are they regulated in the Indonesian market?
Okay, I guess to put it very simply, NFTs, they stand for non-fungible tokens. So they're essentially unique digital assets on the blockchain that is not replaceable or interchangeable, kind of like money is. And so these tokens, they act as a certificate of ownership of whatever is represented by the NFT. And that could be art, that could be membership tokens, that could be a collectible, rights to intellectual property. The NFT itself is just a certificate of ownership, but what's inside the NFT, that's up to the creativity of the creators to decide. We will get into NFTs, but it will take some time in the Indonesian market. Right now, the biggest challenge is the onboarding process. You know, there's a whole lot of steps and processes that you have to undertake in order for you to even own your own wallet for crypto and for NFTs.
So, we also talked about how like cryptocurrency is being seen as like a commodity, and then NFTs aren't really talked about in the Indonesian government. So, what are your insights for what it might look like for regulation and security in the future for Indonesia?
I don't even know if they're talking about NFTs just yet. So they're trying to wrap their heads around crypto and how to regulate it best. Because with crypto, it's a wild west here in this space. The blockchain space is very new. There are a lot of people. There are not a lot of protections. There are not a lot of insurances, and so they're focusing on, I would say, consumer protection, making sure people are not scammed or tricked into buying tokens they know nothing about, and making sure that celebrities and influencers are not using their influence in a way that manipulates people into buying tokens. And most countries or most governments don't really take NFTs seriously. So eventually, when they do, it's actually a very good thing for the space.
Right. And for you personally, what does it mean to you to be able to have these digital assets in this day and age?
Right now, for me, I think getting into NFTs is kind of like a place for me to learn the most about this technology. I enjoy learning about new things. I love how the NFT space has grown in the past few years, and it allowed me to really connect with everyone with kind of the same mindset of, hey, I want to be an early adopter. This is really cool. And I want to connect with all these people that are like-minded in a lot of ways.
With the NFTs, can you like post them on Instagram or like share them on WhatsApp, like if you have the artwork?
The digital image is able to be copied and saved and transferred to basically anyone. So when I use my CryptoPunk as my Instagram profile picture, it's not the NFT that got transferred. It's just the image that the NFT contains that I use on Instagram. Um, and so it's not, you really transfer the NFTs around. It's kind of just because the NFTs are essentially just a certificate of ownership. You don't transfer that around. Kind of like when you own a car, you don't just bring your certificate of ownership wherever you go. You know, with the US, you have the pink slips, right? You don't just carry the pink slips everywhere. Um, and so the certificate stays in my wallet, but then the image I can take around with me wherever I want. So
Yeah, because I think the preconceived notion for a lot of people is that, you can just like share all these pictures. So what does it mean to have the NFT? I think that's what for people who aren't really familiar. So people are allowed
yeah.
to share them and everything, but you can trace it back to who the owner is.
Yep. So once you check the blockchain, kind of like what I said about the public ledger, right? So that's where you check who actually owns the token. But then, yeah, let's take the Mona Lisa for example. Like who owns the Mona Lisa? But then anyone could use the Mona Lisa as their desktop wallpaper or their phone wallpaper. They can print it out and even hang it on the wall of their homes if they want to, but it doesn't mean that they own it. They can't actually sell or buy or trade the authentic Mona Lisa, right? And so I think in the same way, NFTs are kind of like that. As long as you own the certificate, if people want to distribute that as much as they want, then let them be. It's like you still own the real thing. They're just distributing kind of like fake goods.
What do you think are some key factors that investors should also consider before investing in NFTs then?
Anyone asks me that, like the key disclaimer when you go into NFTs is that it's very, very extremely high risk in nature. It's so volatile. One NFT could go 10x the next day and then go to zero the next day. And so my advice would be learn as much as possible, like soak in as much knowledge of the space as possible before spending a single dime on any NFT. And then when you do decide to spend a dime and invest into NFTs, know that at any point in time that could go to zero. And so it should be money that you're willing to lose, not like a life-changing amount of money that you would be very devastated if you lose it.
So moving on to another topic though that I wanted to ask about NFTs is that what do you think are some ethical impacts that it has on the physical art space?
Ethical considerations. It's tough to see this as like an ethical or moral issue. I think in terms of NFTs as technology, I don't know if it even has an ethical bias because it simply is just technology that's being developed to, I guess, further improve the ways that humans can interact with one another. On one hand, I guess NFTs have been able to unlock the potential for many people in various industries. Like you said, the art world specifically, it has allowed a lot of artists to have direct access to, I guess, buyers or collectors and a community, especially smaller artists or lesser known artists. And they get all of that almost immediately, something that most small artists didn't really have access to unless they know connections inside a well-renowned gallery or something like that. But then on the other hand, of course, because of the decentralized nature of this space, like I said before, it's definitely a wild world out there. And it's a dog eat dog world where you got to be able to protect yourself because there are plenty of bad actors as well. And so people could get hurt, people could lose money here. Um, and so the ethics, I would say it's not necessarily inherent inside the technology itself. Because the technology, they're just objective tools. I think the ones that are ethically moral or immoral are just the people within the space. And right now, it seems like there are more bad people than good people in this space because of the age of this whole space. The infancy of this project, of this whole space, is filled with a lot of greed, and I think that's where people need to be really, really careful in this space too. But yeah, in terms of the technology, I think ethically it's neutral. And then we'll see where it goes with the people that are inside.
What do you think in a couple more years what it would be like? Do you think you can see like a vision of what NFTs might look like, or do you think it's still going to be a wild west card going forward?
I think the government is going to take NFTs much more seriously when more people are into NFTs. Right now, it doesn't seem like there are enough people in Indonesia that are in NFTs for them to actually spend any effort or resources on this. Right now, the biggest priority is still crypto, because you already have crypto exchanges and cryptocurrencies, and more people are into crypto more than they are in NFTs. So they're probably going to focus on that first. And once they've gotten that nailed down, then they will, I guess, have the spare extra time to think about NFTs and what to do with that.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Evan.
My pleasure.